Dolphin Watch is a citizen science project which asks community members to go out into the field using photographic identification techniques to try and identify dolphins in the wild and work out where they're going and why they're going there, these types of fundamental conservation questions. Any person who wishes to be a citizen scientist can involve themselves in a project like Dolphin Watch. If you can hold a camera, you can actually participate. We went to Dashwood Bay, which is halfway along the north coast of Kangaroo Island, and it appears to be a relatively unique place. Scientists have indicated to us that there is something special about it. 96% of the time or more when we are in Dashwood Bay, there are mothers there with calves. Now that is very, very rare from what we understand. So we are keen to see it get extra levels of protection than it currently has. Don't just collect data. Don't be afraid to use your data to try and protect and conserve those things that you see as being so special. If you care for something, you take care of it. And at the moment, we can't ask people to care for something they haven't experienced. You've got some of the most beautiful, iconic animals in the world. You're out in nature and you're actually surrounded by the sea. So it's the triple whammy. It is very, very rewarding for the people who become involved. And if there is something that can actually sell citizen science, I think it's probably that point. I've chosen to start off with a little quote from Costa Georgiadis, but it's very, very relevant to citizen science. And let's not forget that citizen science is very, very new. The term citizen science only hit the lexicon in 2014. That's how long it's been in the dictionary. We began 17 years ago. We didn't invent it, but we're pretty early in the piece. Costa actually was the opening speaker at the last Australian Citizen Science Association. And if you take on board those messages that you start where you start, in the sense that you need to engage all three, the head, the heart, and the hands. And if you're looking for true changes in attitude and behaviour, that's the order in which it's got to come. So, dolphins, an iconic species, and how wonderful they are. They've been evolving in that form for 20 million years. We've been evolving in this form for 2 million years. Start thinking just who's probably brighter and better adapted for their environment. Look at the damage they do to their environment. Look at the damage we do to ours. I think they could be a bit brighter than us. I just have an inkling that's the case. And they also do something that we need to think about, and that is collaboration. We often hear of the confrontation that goes on in areas of environmental activism, for example. What about if we change our headset a little bit and say, okay, we'll collect data, then take that data to inform, which is what a lot of people have said, and then collaborate to get best effect. These animals do that all the time to get a feed. They'll collaborate with other species. They'll get a bait ball and they will absolutely make sure everybody of each of the species gets their feed. And they need to be very, very sensible about this because each of those dolphins you see there at North Cape off Kangaroo Island, a beautiful photograph by Dr. Richard Wiley, each one of them needs 25 kilograms of fish each day just to maintain its body systems. If it doesn't get those, then things start to go bad. And this is one of the reasons why we chose to do dolphins, because they're a bioindicator. We care for the marine environment at all levels, but most people will never go under the water, as we heard from Alan and others earlier. People look at the water and say it looks lovely. We don't know what's going on underneath. To get the majority of people actually involved in a way that they can actually start to see some of these changes, the changes that Greta was just speaking about, You need to find a key, and the key can be a species like dolphins because they're very visible, but also as a bioindicator, the canary in the proverbial coal mine, they are giving you indicators if that habitat is deteriorating. And we are about to undertake a study with Dr. Rebecca Suter from the University of Adelaide, investigating threats to dolphins in South Australia, together with the South Australian Museum, Adelaide University, Flinders University, and the Department for Environment and Water. And we will be looking at pictures of dolphins with lesions on them, collecting specimens, unfortunately, collecting wrecks, etc., so that we have ideas of what the threats are to those animals. And if they're threats to those animals, they're obviously threats to the rest of the marine environment. We actually look to collaborate, as I said. We've had a rather brilliant collaboration over a period of time with Alan and OzOcean, so much so that we were able to have the north coast of Kangaroo Island declared a hope spot under the Mission Blue project. And that is the work of Dr. Sylvia Earle, who Jane used her quote before. And it's that sort of collaboration that is needed. Sometimes, as Dan was saying, we can't quite get through to our politicians, but sometimes they'll listen to other people of substance from off the coast of Australia. And Dr. Earle actually wrote directly to the Premier of our state to help to get this process in action. So that's just one example of collaboration. Another example of collaboration being the fact that we provided from our 17 years of data and 11 years of data in Victor Harbour information to the IUCN's Important Marine Mammals Areas Task Force, and I'm pleased to say that the South Australian Gulf waters and adjacent waters, which includes the waters around Kangaroo Island, have been declared important marine mammal areas. All of this is extra protection, and all of this comes around through collaboration and working together. And as we know, there are too few people in the area of marine sciences to be able to waste time by not collaborating. A perfect example of our volunteers at work. So it sounds easy. It's not always easy. You go out, you take photographs of the dorsal fins of dolphins, cartilage like your ear. When they get damaged, they don't heal, so they remain like a fingerprint or a thumbprint. And if we try and find out who's where, when, and why, then we are starting to say, okay, this is important habitat. This is animals that have a real importance for this place. This place is critical to them. And then you can start to lobby for protection. But it all comes from that database. If you don't have the data, you don't have anything. Once the data becomes compelling enough, you can then go and lobby. And without the data, you won't get anywhere. So data collection is singularly important. Another example, video imagery that comes from surfers. The story of Chompy the champion, a dolphin first seen off Kangaroo Island, Pennington Bay. Dorsal fin totally taken off, probably by a shark bite. Back in 1998, surfers started to tell us, surfers started to give us data. And it became something that was really important because Chompy was being supported by two other members of the pod, one under each of the pectoral fins to help him to balance after this injury. Phyll and I can go to Pennington Bay now and see him surfing just as well as all the others in the pod. An example of a sentient animal, an animal that takes care of its own. It doesn't allow disability to stop it. Brilliant animals to study. And as you can see, we have a miserable time out there. It can be miserable. In that particular group, there are 3 people who have significant difficulties in terms of their health, and They love being out there. For them, it's a life-changing experience. It can be a life-changing experience for others. So that's the other side of the equation. Sure, you're getting data, but people are out there thoroughly enjoying themselves and also probably finding a sense of common purpose with their community. They're doing something of value. They're feeling like they belong. So there's all these sorts of elements and threads. So we also are informed by things like the Biophilia Hypothesis of Wilson, that if people are not getting enough time in nature, it's actually damaging. If we take people into nature, into the marine environment, which is not necessarily, as terrestrial animals, our chosen environment, we're giving them an extra experience which is so incredibly important to them in terms of their health and welfare. We've had people come on board with us. It's the first time they've ever been in a boat, and they have a ball, and they feel like they're part of something special. In the 17th year, we're just as miserable on Kangaroo Island. And some of the people in that particular photograph have been with us for all of those 17 years. So people commit to something they think makes a difference. If you're going to try and engage people in citizen science, they have to feel they're doing something of value, and they have to feel valued themselves. And here is a classic example of what we do to actually do the backup work. The people don't just come out and take photographs. The lady on the immediate right of me there is a cancer survivor. She had breast cancer 3 years ago, and she declares that working on the Dolphins has saved her life. She has gone from being a person who took quite ordinary photographs to an excellent photographer, and she's also become one of our data managers. So there's an egalitarian nature to our project that I recommend to anybody, where a person can enter at one level and work their way up to the upper levels of science. Absolutely brilliant work that she does, and together with Phyll, they keep the database for us. When you use your data, I talked about it in the little video at the start, use your data for good effect. Smith Bay on Kangaroo Island was to become a timber port. Once again, Alan and Ocean assisted us with this particular project. We had to stop them building a timber port at a place just down from Dashwood Bay and a home to southern right whales and their calves. Because we collected data, we were able to affect that decision. That decision has been shelved. To have wins like that without data is not possible. And that was citizen science gathered data, and strangely enough, together with the adjoining abalone farm, an aquaculture enterprise that actually won that battle. That's why I keep coming back to those same things, data and valuing. How good do you think the people of Kangaroo Island, Victor Harbour Dolphin Watch felt about that decision? You can also go the whole hog, and the data can be used to write scientific papers, scientific publications. When we first started, we were told that there was no way known that dolphins from Kangaroo Island would come to the mainland or go from the mainland to Kangaroo Island. Wrong. New science. Absolutely, utterly and completely wrong on all levels. But it needed the data to confirm it. And so that's what it is. A blend, a collaboration, a need for people to work together, to collect data, to value each other's efforts, and to introduce people to the marine environment. And I suspect the best way to do that is similar to the sort of thing that we have done there. It's immersive. It puts the people out into that experience. You cannot ask people to care for something that they haven't actually experienced. It just doesn't work. Take them out there, give them the experience, and you'll see a difference. And if we're to have a difference in this world, we will need to get people immersed in citizen science.